Summarizing strategies, common plan and time training. Now it'll be 2:17:10, we hope. Alright, before we begin, I'd like to ask, what note-taking strategies did you use last week or from last week? Did anyone try T-notes, 2-column notes, the Cornell notes? Did anyone do any outlining or webbing? And what were the results? It went well, I hear. Today's objective, there's 3 things we want to do today. You'll see what we want and what we get, and hopefully the reason why for both when it comes to summarizing. You're going to learn 2 strategies. One's rule-based, and the other one's summary frames. What we want and what we get. First, let's talk about what we want. Summarization, what is it? It's reducing the verbiage down to the bare minimum. It's the gist, key ideas, main facts, or as I used to say on Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. This is going to lead to improved student achievement, which is what we all want. What we get when we ask students to summarize, I'm pretty sure you all know. They write down way too much, or they write down almost nothing, or they just blindly copy word for word. Most students are really bad at this. This needs modeled for them. We need to change it. But I don't think there's any news in any of this. So let's learn the rules-based strategy. It's pretty self-evident. They have to follow the rules. The first rule is delete anything that's trivial, that's unnecessary to the understanding of what's written. Second rule, delete anything that's redundant. If it says it 3 times, you only need to write it once. Third rule, substitute general terms for something really specific. Fish cover a whole lot of different creatures, trouts, sunfish, carp. Just use the word fish. And you need to pick out the topic sentence, or the students need to invent one. That's the rules. Now what we'd like to do now is pass out the Pluto probe blast off into space example. And I've done this for you already. You'll notice that the topic sentence I've bold-face font, and I've gone through and struck out or put a line through all the stuff that doesn't really matter. Then if you look at below, you'll see that I've taken 2 paragraphs and I've reduced them to a real short paragraph. This is one way you can get students to summarize. The striking out works really good in Word. It's very applicable to technology. Do you have any questions on rules-based strategy? Okay. What's next is summary frames. Once again, students have problems summarizing. So the purpose of summary frames are just a series of questions that emphasize an important element or elements within a text pattern. What does that mean? Basically, you provide them with questions. The students answer those questions, and then they write summaries based on their responses, not on the text. The steps. The students need to be aware of and able to ID the patterns that are used commonly in texts. Next, once you've pointed them in the right direction, students should read the text, identify the pattern. It may not be an exact match, but they should go with what's close, and then they use the information from the text to answer questions for that pattern. And don't forget, or let them not forget, about the deletion and the substitution rules from the rules-based strategies. It's still the same. After answering the questions, the students put away the text. They don't need it anymore. They just use their responses to write the summary, not the literature. There's 6 different kinds of them. The first one are the narrative frame. It's usually what you find in fiction, and it contains the following elements: character, settings, initiating event, responses, consequences, goals, and resolutions. There's 7 questions, and this is what they look like. It's basically who, what, when, and how of the story. The next one's a lot shorter. Topic response illustration frame. The TRI stands for topic, restriction, and illustration. This is the pattern that's found in expository materials. Questions look like, for the T, what's the general statement or topic? R, what's the information that narrows or restricts the general topic? I, what's the examples that illustrate the topic? The third kind is the definition frame. The purpose of this is to describe a particular concept or identify subordinate concepts. It contains the following elements: terms, set, gross, characteristics, minute differences. These questions look like, what's being defined? What category does this belong to? What characteristics separate the item from something else? What are some different types or classes of the item being defined? Fourth kind, argumentation frame. It contains information to support a claim and contains the following elements. There's evidence, the claim, the support, the qualifiers. These questions are, what information is presented that supports the claim? What's the basic statement or claim that focuses the information? What examples or explanations are presented to support this claim? What concessions are made about the complaint? The fifth one's the problem solution frame. It introduces a problem, then identifies one or more solutions to the problem, and it contains the following: statements of the problem and solutions. In general, there's usually one statement about the problem, but there's multiple solutions to it. And the questions are pretty much along those lines. What's the problem? What's a possible solution? What's another possible solution? Which solution has the best chance of succeeding? And the last one's the conversation frame. It's a verbal interchange between two or more people. It contains the following: greetings, inquiry, discussion, and conclusion. The questions look like how the participants greet one another. What question or topic was brought up or referred to in the discussion? Where most of the meat is how's the discussion progress? Those questions will lead them to the conclusion. Did anyone state facts, make a request, demand an action, threaten a sequence? You can see that these are fairly complex and multiple versions of the same question, leading to the discussion, how it's going, where it's going. But the bottom line is they still have to come up with an end, and that's the last part. For example, we're going to do a conservational frame, and examples from Winnie the Pooh. What I'd like you to do is get out and read it now and look at the questions. I like Winnie the Pooh, that's why I chose this. You notice the conclusion wasn't stated exactly in the passage that I chose. Students may have to come up with their own conclusion, but that's okay. We're trying to get them to think. Do you guys have any questions about summary frames? So to wrap this all up, if there's no questions, you saw what we want and what we get, and a why for both. You've learned, hopefully, rules-based summarizing strategy, and you've learned summary frame strategies. There's 6 of them. Not all of them are applicable to math class. Not all of them are applicable to reading. Not all of them are applicable to social studies. But there is one out of those 6 things you should be able to use. Thank you so much.